Welcome to the first edition of Weekly Finances on Shed Talk. Really excited to be here, guys. Thank you for being here with me. Apologize for the basic setup for this first video. Hopefully things will get better and improve as time goes by. So like I said, I'm really excited to be doing this. It's something that I'm passionate about. I'm going to be making one of those video weekly where I'm going to break them down in three sections. So the first one is just general comment, the international economy, whatever is relevant at the point at that time, like for example, the assassination of that Iranian general, over the weekend by the U.S. And then we're gonna dive into the marijuana sector. It could also be just general finances topic. Then we're gonna dive into the marijuana sector, which is a personal interest of mine, as many of you know. One thing I'd like to mention right away is that it's important for everybody to find their own interest. So whatever is your passion, your hobbies, is most likely where you have an edge on the rest of the people in regards to what's coming, being at the forefront of that sector. And so it's identifying those things and then what sector of the economy you can play to then use that knowledge, that passion to create wealth for yourself. And I think that's really important. And we'll talk about that in other videos, and I have lots of plans for other things. I would like to right away mention Alan Brochstein and thank him for everything that he's done over the years and helped me in my investor journey with all the information and the work that he's done. I'm not here to share that work. I'm not here to share his analysis. I'm not here to share his technical data that he shares with us. He is the leader of the 420 investor community, which I highly recommend for people whose interest in marijuana is the same as mine to join, as well as New Cannabis Venture, which is a platform for information for the marijuana sector. So again, I'm not going to use this stuff. This is just my opinion, the things that I read, the experience that I have. But obviously, a huge chunk of my knowledge and opinion comes from that community and from Alan. And then the third portion will be question and answers. So send me questions directly by message, either a specific question on a specific topic or scenarios that you'd like to play. Is it better to do this or is it better to do that? When is it right to do this or that, etc., etc. And then I'll answer those every week in the little videos, and that'll give us things to chat about. So with that being said, please keep in mind that everything I say here is not a legal advice or financial advice. That I'm here to share with you my experience, to share with you the things I've learned along the way, the mistakes that I've made, the good things that I've done as well. And so those are just my thoughts and opinions. So I'm happy to share them with you. And my hope is that you find something useful in there, something that helps you out. And whatever it is, if you need more or you need to dig deeper, please let me know, ask question, and use this community that I'm trying to build up here and create to draw on the experience of everyone. I truly believe that everybody is a teacher to somebody else. We all have a lifetime of knowledge and experience that we should not be ashamed of, but rather be happy and vulnerable to share it to everybody. So this started for me years and years ago when Alicia was coming to this world, basically, and I got involved with a company called Primerica, through which I did my different licensing and qualification certificates, got involved in personal finances and that kind of stuff. And then that led me to people, which led me to real estate, led me to further my own knowledge and finances, to stock investment, to, like I said, real estate investment, property owner, repositioning of multi-unit property and that kind of stuff. So it's from that background that I think that it's important for everyone in Canada to know more about the different rules and regulations and the programs and so on and so forth. Like we say, keep your friends close and your enemy closer. So everybody hates the government, but you really need to keep them close and understand the different programs and rules and regulations so you can use them to your advantage. And there's really incredible thing you can do with that. So with that being said, I think we're gonna jump right into it. And on this first video, I'm gonna do two things. I'm gonna first have the marijuana 2020 talk, and then the second portion we'll do what's on the board. So for the marijuana sector in 2020, we're coming out of a purge call in 2019, which is a good thing. It's a correction just like in any market. Canada, it definitely is a country that is over-regulated. Canadians tend to do things in regards to safely and so on and so forth. It does hamper the business opportunity of those Canadian companies. But 2020 is looking better. We're now 2 months into 2.0, which means new products such as edibles, vape pens, that kind of stuff. So in Ontario has woken up and will allow for many more stores this year in 2020, which is really important, and that will be true as well throughout the country, and more products for the consumers and stuff like that. Some downside though still to keep in mind, the capital crunch in the sector. Some provinces are not on board, like it's not equal across the board. So for example, in Quebec, chocolates are banned, vape banned, same thing with Alberta. Canada has a problem with the packaging. That's not a secret for anyone. But coming up is a limitation of 10 milligram of THC per packaging, whereas in the States we're talking about 100 and in some cases 50. So that has an impact on the cost, which is passed down to the consumer, on the amount of packaging you need, and so on and so forth as well. One of the big question marks for 2020 in the sector is going to be beverages. We haven't seen the liftoff that was expected in the United States and the different states that it was legalized. Beverages were not that big of a driver, as much as vape pens are, for example. So that's why like the whole vape pen crisis was a big scare for the sector. It's like the perfect storm in 2019. But I want people to keep in mind that this was like, to a certain extent, almost like, logical. Where companies, when they start up, they have big dreams, they have big business plan, they're raising capital, they're going out there trying to do things, and then because of things such as the difficult legal system in Canada, for example, on all kinds of aspects in regards to not being allowed to brand your products and promote them and so on and so forth, like we can do for alcohol, for example. All these things really came and played and affected the projections. And so all in overall, I think that what that means is that now there's been like a massacre, and the companies that have the right books now are easier to identify. So who has too much debt, not enough revenue, who's kind of stuck in that world, and that means that the companies that survive are going to be able to take even more market share. It's like a second growth. So I do believe that there's a second chance for everyone right now in that sector. For those that are interested, and it doesn't have to be for everybody, where you can get in at prices that we hadn't seen in 2-3 years now. And so, it really is kind of a reset, but not back to zero, but a big reset. So I think it's a big chance for everybody to get their feet in that sector and reap the rewards. And now my philosophy is value investing. So I'm looking at a medium to long term. So there are trades to be made in that sector. There's lots of volatility, but I do believe to buy the good companies, the ones that seem to have the best chances to make it, and to hold on to these companies, adjust and cash out as the market exaggerate one way or the other, but then keep the long run perspective in mind. I don't expect anything huge to start off 2020 neither. It's pretty much a consensus across the board. But I think we're creating a good base. We're creating the dynamics for a very good base, and I hardly see things going back, I think that companies are only going to get better, things are only going to look better, and so on and so forth. So that's my opinion, roughly, because I want to keep the videos relatively short to start and see where we go with this. But that's my opinion in regards to the marijuana sector in 2020. And the next videos, I can talk more specifically about companies that I follow and I'm interested in, and which one do I believe would be good investments, or which one do I believe that, you know, in the long term would be winners. Again, it's only opinions. I'm happy to do it because I like talking about this, but it doesn't mean that I'll be right. I've got lots of, as you can see in my holdings, not all of them are good holdings, but that is what it is. And so I'm gonna cut it here to keep it short, and then I'll come back for the second part, and then we'll talk about what's on the board behind me. See you soon, guys.